Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. And as always, I'm joined by Las Vegas professional sports handicapper Chip Chirimbes from chipwins.com. Chip, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, buddy. Came off another great college basketball night last night. Stubbed our toe in the pros, but a 3-0 in college basketball makes up for everything.
Very nice. So the winning continues, and again, you could find Chip's daily picks. That's his best picks on the board, folks. Not the free
Yeah.
picks you're getting here. Not that we don't want to win the free
Right.
picks, but you could find those at chipwins.com. Same goes for me, rbwins.com. You got two of the best basketball handicappers in the country right now. So, and the proof's in the pudding. It's not like we just throw these um, bravado out there without any substantiation. So, in any event, Shipper,
Yes.
Sunday is the Super Bowl. By the way, folks, we're recording on Friday the 5th of February, obviously. And we're going to be looking at some key college basketball games between ranked teams tomorrow and give you an early outlook on what we think of those games. And then we're going to finalize the segment with a free pick from each one of us in college basketball on the Saturday card. But before we get to that, Chip, the Super Bowl, we
Right.
discussed this briefly yesterday. But right now we're looking at Kansas City as a 3-point favorite, and the total in this game is 56 and a half. And, Chip, I'm looking and I'm seeing action on Kansas City right now, and I'm also seeing action on the over. And again, when I say that, the majority of action, it's not a wide split, but your initial thoughts is the line movement, lack thereof, where the
Right.
line is set, where the public action has gone. Any of that surprise you?
Yes, it has, as a matter of fact, Ross, because this game has definitely become, in my eyes, the Joes and the pros. And the pros, of course, are looking to take Tampa Bay, and they've knocked that line down. We've had those two huge bets, one out here in Las Vegas, and then there's Mattress Matt out of Houston who put out 3.4 million on Tampa. And that's sort of keeping the number down. But I also understand out here in Las Vegas that I mentioned before that there is such a heavy burden on futures on Tampa Bay that's keeping that number down because they don't want to get middled with people buying back with having to lay Kansas City and take Tampa Bay. So they're in a vulnerable position in that regard. But the number at 3, without it having moved up, like you said, I think 3/4 of the bets are probably on Kansas City. But the pros are keeping this down because every time that line moves up, Ross, they hit it and they bring it back down. And I'm very surprised that it's on 3 actually. And I didn't think it was going to get to 3. I thought it would get to 4 and possibly even higher. And so there is significant money on Tampa Bay, and there's significant money action on Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Money line action, shall I
right
say.
now the source that I use shows 59% of the volume of bets, point spread bets, that is, has gone to Kansas City, and that it's accounted for 62% of the betting pool on the game. So again, it goes hand in hand to what you're saying. Not quite 75%, but
Right.
over 60 anyway, is in terms of money, and close to 60 in terms of volume of bets. And then we're looking at the total, which opened at 57. 71% of bets made so far, Chipper, have gone to the over. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yet the amount of money bet on the over and under is split right down the middle, 50% to the over, 50% to the under. One thing, Chip, we've never encountered before is a Super Bowl team playing on their home field. This is
Right.
going to be a first time ever. So I get what you're saying about the number being kept down there. I don't know how much of a factor that's going to be, Chip, because
Well,
the NFL takes control of most of those tickets.
Ross, I've been to almost 25 Super Bowls, and it doesn't matter where it's being played. There is no home field advantage. These tickets are dispersed around, and the
Right.
Tampa people aren't going to get any more access to them than anybody else. The Rams season ticket holders have the same access. It's just so I don't expect the crowd, except for that piped in music and noise that they're putting in. Who knows how it's going to affect anything? But there really shouldn't be too much of a crowd bias either way,
Yeah.
really. And it's it's kind of there's always a murmur going on when you're at this game because there's somebody rooting for each side. It isn't a
Yeah.
one-sided thing. So, and this year, with there being even less people around, I don't know if it's going to have any effect whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like I said, the NFL controls most of the tickets, and yeah, I guess if you wanted to, don't have to pay for travel, and you could afford a ticket, Tampa Bay Bucks fans will, have more than enough opportunities to
Right.
purchase tickets. But again, we're talking about a whole different day and age, and as far as the total goes, yeah, we're looking at two offenses that are perceived to be explosive. And we're looking at two quarterbacks that arguably are the best in the game right now. So, well, I don't know. Rodgers is probably comes in second there, but
Right.
Brady, his accomplishments over the course of his career speak volumes. And geez, Chip, I mentioned this to you before. We talked about Drew Brees, we talked about Philip Rivers, aging quarterbacks that we, just as observers, I know we're sports handicappers, but we're still observers. We
Right.
both noticed arm strength being an issue and a decline in arm strength in those two. I'm not seeing it with Brady.
I think he's actually gotten stronger as the season's got going on. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, it looked like he was failing in certain situations, and he didn't look as strong as he does now. And maybe it's his regimentation and his regime, the way he works out, but he hasn't faded the way Drew Brees faded. That's for darn sure. We
Yeah.
saw that. That was obvious at the end, and as long as he gets it done. I mean, he throws a touchdown pass, but he only had to throw it 45 yards to Scotty Miller. I mean, it wasn't a long pass, but you have to know when to hit the man, or if he's making the break. And his experience makes up for a lot of shortcomings that might be there physically right now.
I think Tampa is going to be an even more dangerous team next year than they were this year. Yeah, if you consider the fact that all the moving parts that they had coming in, well, not really moving parts, Brady and his chemistry with his receivers, Chip.
Right. Right.
Um, you know what I mean? They had very little offseason. It probably they built chemistry that started to really take hold around the midpoint of the season, and we're starting to see the dividends of that. So, in the other part of the equation, I think Kansas City's defense is underrated. Now, I don't think are they a top 10 defense? I don't know if I want to go there, but they're not a bad defense. And I
No.
think too much is ignored with the fact that their offense is so explosive, excuse me, and garner most of the attention that the defense sort of gets overlooked.
I agree, and we know that Tampa's number one against the run, and but Kansas City doesn't necessarily run the ball as often as most people do, and they don't have to really. But the defense of both these teams are better than I think the general public sees, because, like you said, they're enamored with the flash, they're enamored with the quarterbacking. You sit and you look Brady, 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 or it's Mahomes, Mahomes, Mahomes. So the defense really is, say, a secondary thought in most people's minds here, and I think it'll probably show on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a prediction, Chip. I'm going to
Uh-oh.
say that Tampa Bay is going to challenge Kansas City to run the ball. I think they're going to play probably keep seven guys back and depend on their front four is very good against the run, which gives them a really good advantage in that regard if they choose to go that route. I mean, I'm not an NFL strategist in terms of game planning for a game, but I look at what Buffalo did to them early in the year, and it backfired on them because Kansas City was able to run for 200 and something yards. But I think Tampa Bay, they'd be more than willing to give them 100 yards on the ground if they can keep their offensive attack somewhere around 60-40.
Yeah. And I would imagine Tampa's going to look to play a little ball control as well. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want to give Holmes too many opportunities, no matter how good your defense may be.
And let's not forget, Patrick Holmes, probably his mobility is going to be nowhere near 100%. He got banged up a little bit at the end of the year, namely his foot. Now, I don't know how that's coming along, the healing process, the rehab, but I would venture to say they're not going to be looking for him to take off and run as much as they're used to. So another factor to keep in mind, folks, in any event, you can get both of our Super Bowl picks, uh, be it the side and the total at chipwins.com, or rbwins.com. Now let's take a look at the 5 college basketball games we're going to cover. And we're going to give you a free pick at the end of the segment, folks. So hang around. And hopefully, when you hear us discuss these games, it's not always about the free pick. We're hoping that you walk away from these videos a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. And even if you watch every day, hopefully you pick something up every time. Right? Right, Chipper?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that's what I did. When I was a kid, I used to watch Chip Chirimbes on TV. I was about 10. He was about 30. And anyway, if you believe that, folks, I got a
Hey,
bridge in Brooklyn for you. So anyway,
yes.
Alabama and Missouri. Alabama, number 10 in the country. Missouri, number 18. 12 p.m. Eastern time start tomorrow, early start. Alabama right now, a 2-point favorite. Chipper, they're 10-0 in conference play. They had their 10-game win streak ended in a non-conference game in the SEC
Right.
Big 12 Challenge, losing to Oklahoma, surprisingly enough. Oklahoma is number 9, but they were short players. And Alabama 4-1 straight up on the road this year, Chip. What's your take here?
You know, beginning the season, when we looked at these two teams, Missouri was going to be the ranked team, and Missouri was going to be the big contender in the SEC. But this Alabama team has really turned it on. They're a great shooting team, Ross. They drop the threes and they run on you, and very impressive. Them 10-0 in conference play though, and their lone loss, like you said, in the last 12 games they've had are and during this run was at Texas and Oklahoma. Excuse me, at Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's top player was out. And yet they still managed to come up big. Now they may have lost their mojo, and I was expecting them to have a downer game the next time out against LSU, but they came back strong and they beat the Tigers and they covered that game. And here we have Missouri at home, laying in wait as a dog at home. I think that this is a sort of an invite me game. I'm going to use this one at the end of the day to let you know where my free pick is coming. But Alabama's been outrageous against the spread as well. 12-6.
They're 12-6-1 against the spread, Chip.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
they've been a
Missouri hasn't been
moneymaker.
bad. They're 9-6 as well on the number. So this should be a really great battle between two really good SEC teams. And the Missouri, like I said at the beginning of the year, they were the team that was supposed to be one of the contenders in the SEC. And I think that Alabama's a bit of a surprise right here. But we'll have a winner on this one before the day's out.
Well, I'll tell you this. Nate Oakes, the head coach at Alabama, he's one hell of a coach. I know that because he was here in Buffalo at the University of Buffalo before he got the job at Alabama. As a matter of fact, the last year when they made the NCAA tournament, they knocked off UCLA in the NCAA tournament. So, no, that was St. Bonaventure. Buffalo did win a game in the NCAA tournament.
Bonaventure.
Yeah, St. Bonaventure. Beat
Last time
UCLA.
they won, they had some guy who's like 6'11". His feet were like 14.
You're cheat. Boy,
Bob
boy.
Lanier.
Get your head out of the West Coast. There's
Bob
East Coast
Lanier.
basketball exists, and it's better basketball than the
Bob
West Coast.
Lanier.
Yeah, Bob Lanier. Boy, oh boy, what a team that was.
He was
Went
a
to the
force.
Final Four. And now we're going to lose our younger audience here. So let's get
All right,
back.
let's get back to it.
The task at hand. Well, look, Missouri's lost their last two. They have home wins in their last. Excuse me, they won their last two at home, but those wins came over Kentucky, who's terrible, and they only won that game by 5, and TCU in overtime. So Alabama, like I said, 4-1 straight up on the road. A lot to think about in this matchup, Chip. Let's get on to the next game. Kansas, number 23 in the country, at number 17, West Virginia, and two teams that are pretty much struggling a little bit at the current time. And two teams that played earlier this season in Kansas, and the Jayhawks won handily. Right now, Chipper, we're talking about Kansas, West Virginia as a 1-point home favorite in this contest.
Of course, Mountaineers with Huggins are going to have revenge on their mind in this one. And this Kansas has been very disappointing for me. Last time I had them against Tennessee, they really didn't even come to play. In spite of that, they're 3-3 on the road, 3-3 against the number. But if you trace back, they've been traditionally a pretty good road team. I mean, they're 13-6 in their last 19 against the number on the road. And West Virginia, of course, is a great home team. I mean, is their basketball team that much different than their football team, Ross? Where when they're playing at home, they're winning. When they go on the road, they get crushed. And
Well, they're
they
8-2 at home. So, I mean, they
yeah,
have lost at home this year.
yeah. But I mean, I meant in general that because
Yes.
they've already been to Kansas and got killed. They're 1-5 in their last 6 at home against the number.
Yeah.
So that's nothing to brag about, of course. I think this is a spot for West Virginia to get a little bit of revenge. I'm a little disappointed in this Kansas team and what I've seen so far, and I just don't like the idea, Ross, of playing against Kansas on the road twice in a row and then having it handed it to me. You know what I mean? I had
Yeah.
them last time, and now I'm going to switch. I'm just like trying to switch in midstream here, and so I don't feel comfortable with the game at all. But the way when I look at it, I see it. A small lean on the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the bad thing for West Virginia is they're not a very good shooting team, Chip. But the good news is they're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. As a matter of fact, the first time these teams played, Chip, West Virginia had 18 offensive rebounds and
Wow.
Kansas had 17. Now, that's the good news for both sides. The bad news is usually when you have that many offensive rebounds, your shooting percentage is pretty low.
Yeah, that's the
So,
point.
yeah. So 6-1, half dozen the other.
Yeah, really.
But Kansas is 2-4 in their last 6 games. Their only 2 wins came at home against Kansas State, who's horrible, and TCU. And that was a close game as well. So KU 0-4 straight up and 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 on the road, Chipper. So again, I would have to give a slight edge here to West Virginia, especially playing with revenge. Any
Yes.
final thoughts on the game, Chip?
No, that would be the way to go. I'm not overly interested in this game, like I said, because of the way Kansas hurt me last time out, and I just don't want to be chasing a loser,
Me and you are alike in that regard. You really get stuck. If you win with a team, you don't want to fall in love with them. But if
Yeah,
you lose with a team, you don't want to feel like you're chasing them either. And
exactly.
your customers sort of pick up on that. And God forbid you lose with the same team twice in a row with your customers, you'll never hear the end of it.
Right.
Anyway, number 19, Wisconsin at number 12, Illinois. Boy, I like this Illinois team, buddy.
Yep.
Illinois is -3.5. I'm not saying in this particular game, but as a whole, I think they got the capability of making a deep run. That's me. Illinois -3.5 in this game. Again, the game's being played at Illinois. Illinois a half a game better than Wisconsin in the Big Ten with a 8-3 record. Wisconsin 8-4. Again, the Illini -3.5 at home, Chip.
To start with, I agree with you. This Illinois team, I'm kind of disappointed they lost a few games in a spurt there where it's kind of tarnished their season. I mean, they picked up again. I think they've won their last 3, and they're 6-2-1 against the number in their last 9. So they are playing better. But this Wisconsin team, Ross, has been very inconsistent. I mean, they're 1-5 after a win against the Points the next time out. So, they hadn't put a run together, and we're used to the great defense out of the Badgers here, and they've been very inconsistent. I mean, to lose to Rutgers and to lose to some of the situations where they've been beaten so far is surprising. The favorite in this series has dominated, believe it or not. The favorite is going 19-7-1, and I'm wondering if that had to do with Wisconsin being so good over a long period of time. They seemed like they were always in the Sweet 16 or fighting down for the Elite 8.
Yeah,
And,
Illinois just started coming up the ladder the last couple of years. Wisconsin, the last 2 decades.
right.
What was the guy's name that was there before this coach? The guy with the gray hair. He was really good. Anyway.
Ronald Reagan.
What's that?
No, I was only teasing.
Anyway, if anybody out there remembers his name, just give us a shout out. In any event, they've been a great program for 2 years. They've had traditionally a very strong home court. Yet they've won 3 of their last 4 on the road, Wisconsin. Again, trademark Wisconsin, number 24 in scoring defense at 62.5 points per game.
Right.
I always tell people, I don't know if they play that stout, stingy type of defense in your face more than their slow offensive pace limits the other team's possessions. And trying to get this team to speed up this team is a really difficult task to do. And I don't know if Illinois cares. They could play either style. I like their big man Cockburn. He's a tremendous. He's going to be an NBA player next year. I like this Illinois team. I have a lean toward Illinois here, Chip.
He played great against Garza last time out, and I think I had the winner in that game against Iowa. And
Yes,
the
they won
Illini
by
coming
4.
on right now. He's maturing. Like you said, he's going to be a force. This team may be someone you're going to have to deal with when we get down to the tournament.
Yeah, if I'm an Illinois fan, I'm a little disappointed they lost 5 games this year. I know the Big Ten is good. Okay, it's definitely the best conference in the country. But boy, oh boy, the talent on that team and a little bit of quality depth as well. And we'll see. It's going to be a good matchup,
Right.
Chip. It'll be a grinded up type of game. I think we'll go right down to the wire. But I really, really, again, if I can't reiterate enough, in terms of college basketball futures, keep an eye on Illinois when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Number 6, Texas at unranked Oklahoma State. Yet the 6th ranked team in the country is only a 2-point favorite on the road against unranked Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State 11-5 on the year, 4-5 in Big 12 play. While Texas 11-4, a little bit of reeling right now, Chip. Texas has lost their last 2 and 3 of their last 4 games. Again, Texas a 2-point road favorite, Chipper.
And it's kind of Texas only played 2 games on the road, I believe, and they've won them both. Oklahoma State, a little disappointing. They got beat by TCU last time out, which was good for us because we had the Horned Frogs. But surprisingly enough, they've beaten some pretty good competition so far this season, and they've hung out pretty tough. I think I'm not quite sure. Didn't they give Baylor a really good run at one time?
They gave Baylor, they were in that Baylor game right until about the last 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They ended up eventually losing by 15, but they led for a good part of that game. And
I remember
Baylor's awfully good.
That they were hanging out with them, and but very disappointing. They got beat by TCU last time out. Texas, of course, had played like 6 ranked games or 6 ranked teams in a 7-game period. And they did win the first meeting in Austin. Texas won 77-74. And so I could see the Cowboys rising here against the Longhorns. I really could. I can see Oklahoma State giving it a real tussle, especially the way the Longhorns are reeling right now, having lost 3 of their last 4. They may have lost a little bit of their confidence, as happens to teams when they hit the doldrums.
Yeah, I know Shaka Smart was out, the head coach, with COVID, so I'm sure that didn't help their situation. But Texas is Oklahoma State, is one of those Jekyll and Hyde type teams, Chip. They can come out and beat a top 5 team in the country. Then, like you said, the next game come out and lose to TCU at home. This is a team that's...
Didn't they do the same thing during the football season to us? This team would come up with big wins, and then they'd be flat against somebody that they're supposed to just walk over.
Yes, exactly. Sort of the same scenario. And they have lost 3 games at home this year, so keep that in mind. Okay. Again, Texas a 2-point favorite in that game, and I think it's a really tough call. What I know you think the same way as me in this regard, but you have a ranked team, number 6 in the country, not only ranked, they're a top 6 team in the country, and they're only laying 2 on the road against an unranked team. To me, my antennas go up when I see that.
And a team that's 3-5 against a number at home.
Yeah.
And, so there's a lot of question marks surrounding this game. I agree with you. And a further detailed research tonight will probably come up with something.
Yeah, it's a game you're definitely going to have to look close at if you're willing to use it. UCLA at USC, Chipper. UCLA, number 21 in the country. They go to the crosstown rival at USC. And the Trojans are a 3.5-point favorite. Again, we have an unranked team in USC as a favorite against UCLA, number 21 in the country. USC is a good team, though. 14-3 straight up, 8-2 against the spread. I don't know why they're not ranked. UCLA, a very experienced team, all 5 starters back from a season ago, and it's shown. They're 13-3 straight up and 9-1 in conference play. So they have a 1-game lead over second place USC. The 2 top teams in the Pac-12, Chipper. Can't wait to hear what you have to say.
UCLA, didn't you start the season with San Diego State by beating them?
Yes,
right?
yes. San Diego State beat them by 15.
But I notice on them, they've come and they played fairly well, but I think USC has played better. And I think USC, to me, passes the eye test a little bit better. They play a little bit better defense, and I think they have a little more scoring capabilities. Um, UCLA's 0-4 against the number in the last 4 games, though they've won 3 of them. Um, I have a lean here toward Southern Cal, and they are favored. I don't like that, of course. And like you said, you have an unranked team favored over a ranked team, and that always, like you said, throws up a red flag. And you have to look, how is this? How does this work out? And sometimes it works for us, and sometimes we, as we know, during football, we can actually get the door slammed in our face. But this should be a great matchup. These are probably the 2 best in the Pac-12, and which, over the recent seasons just hasn't shown much at all in basketball.
They're better this year. This is probably.
Well, I know these 2 are, and I like
Yeah.
these. I like watching these 2 teams, and USC's been very good to me, and I would have a tendency to want to take them here as opposed to the Bruins. And I'd much rather take an underdog than lay the points. And yet here I would gravitate toward the Trojans.
I like to look at Ken Palm once in a while. It shows a lot of interesting statistics when it comes to college basketball. And according to them, USC is the more balanced team in this matchup. They're number 26 in offensive efficiency and number 25 in defensive efficiency. Now, UCLA is number 14 in offense, but number 78 in defense. And how that's figured, Chipper, is how many points you score and how many points you allow per 100 possessions. So it's a pretty good measuring stick sometime if you want to look at that. Again, we both know sometimes you need to throw that stuff out the window if the line movement makes you scratch your head a little bit. And again, this is one of those textbook situations we've been talking about for 3 weeks now. When you get an unranked team against a ranked team, and the unranked team is favored. Now, I know USC's favored at home, okay? Home being the key word, but there's no fans allowed in the state of California right now.
No.
And as far as even if there was, I would venture to say that it would be a 50-50 crowd because UCLA's contingent seems to be much larger in basketball than UCLA or USC, excuse me, and quite the opposite in football. So,
agreed.
Any final thoughts on that game, Chip?
No, I think we pretty much said what we're thinking about it. The unranked team favored, and we both seem to feel. I think it looks like we both think that the USC is actually the better team, even though they're not ranked.
I think they are. Again, why they're not ranked is beyond me. There's not much of a difference. Now, I might be missing something. Let me double check that as while I have you guys on. But in any event, Chip, we got a free play we have to give out, both of us.
Okay.
And maybe you want to start by giving out your free play first.
I don't have any problems. And I'll tell you something. I may be giving this one out for free, but it's worthy of a selection that's could be on my paid program. But this is Alabama, Missouri. Missouri's won the last 2. They're starting to pick up and play a little bit more like we had anticipated at the beginning of the season. Alabama's had that great run, Ross. They had that run where they covering the spread. They're making all the shots. Granted, they got beat out of conference and bounced back with a great game against LSU, but they're on the road again here. And I think that 10-0 in the conference that's enough. They've won enough. It's time that they get beat in the conference, and I think Missouri's the team to do it. I like Missouri here as a play, and I would be using this game like I said, maybe not as my top play overall, but I'd be using it as part of my pay selection. So I do like Missouri over Alabama.
So that's Missouri +3 at home against Is that 3? I think it's 3.
I thought it was 2, but I'll take 3. I expect them to win the game.
You're
really.
right. I'm not going to give you any more than you need, for crying out loud.
Well, they're going to win the game anyway, Ross.
Yeah, I know. It's you need the straight up winners, basically what it comes down to, folks.
Right.
The chances of a falling on one, it could happen, but it's improbable.
It can happen.
And in any event, would you advise taking the money line on this at -2?
I would, but I always like to give myself the biggest chance to win. I'd take 1.5 if I can. I mean, that 71-70 game can happen, and I'd rather.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're a proponent of when you have a small favorite, meaning between, I would assume, 1 and 2 points. That you always go with the money line because you don't want to win a game like that and not cover or get a push.
Right. No,
Um,
I don't have any problem laying $1.20 or $1.25 on those real close games, even to $1.30. But
yeah, this is going to be, I think, more in the dollar 30 to 35 range because it's
yeah,
-2.
yeah,
Um,
and this number may come down too. There can be some Alabama action here, so we'll see what happens.
well, like you always said, you know what I mean? It, again, the money line makes sense. You always
Yeah.
say that. Whenever you get a line this low, you don't want to, again, I don't want to be redundant, but I agree with you 100% here, Chipper. As far as my free play goes, I'm going to go to the Texas and Oklahoma State game. Now, I mentioned earlier, Oklahoma State, one of those teams, you just don't know what you're going to get. Jekyll and Hyde to the nth degree. They beat some very good teams this year and they lose other games they shouldn't have lost against what are perceived to be inferior teams. But again, I look at this line, Texas being number 6 in the country, only a 2-point favorite. That tells me the books have a lot of respect for Oklahoma State, even though they're unranked. And on top of that, they're seeing what's happened lately with Texas. They're struggling going into this game, having lost their last 2 and 3 of their last 4. So again, folks, I'm going to take the unranked team, the Oklahoma State, plus the 2 as my free pick over the Texas Longhorns. So once again, it's Chipper's got Missouri plus 2 at home against Alabama. My free pick for Saturday, February 6th, is on the Oklahoma State Cowboys plus the 2 against the Texas Longhorns.
Yeehaw!
Chip, before I go,
Yeah.
tell the folks a little bit how you're doing of late. I know that's good. And in addition to what you may have going on tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much, Ross. Usually on Saturday, when the college basketball, I post what I call my Fab Five. It's my top 5 games, which of course includes my megabook play, my single strongest release. And by the way, my megabook plays in college basketball. I've now hit 6 of the last 7, and we're really on a roll. You know, we've been leading most of the websites in NBA for this season. So I'll have a trio of NBA games as well. And you know, Ross, at chipwins.com right now, you can get the Super Bowl winner. Just log on and follow the buy links, and my Super Bowl game has been posted, and you can sit there and collect as soon as the game's over on Sunday.
Side and a total you have, correct,
Yes,
Chip?
I have both are offered out
Are
there.
they both evenly rated or you have
Yes,
one rated?
yes, they are, because I do like the total on this one. You know, we had great success during the totals in this playoff run right here. We've gone 16-6 overall, and in the totals, we've gone 8-2. So I'm really looking forward to this game Sunday, both side and total. And Ross, you know, I'm not a guy that likes to play both a side and a total in the same game, because half the time you're rooting against yourself.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, I don't like that at all. But I think that they're both premier plays this Sunday.
Well, I could tell you this, folks. You can get my Super Bowl picks at my website, rbwins.com. And so we don't confuse you. If you buy from either one of us, you're going to get the same picks because we're on the same side in total. So again, either rbwins.com or chipwins.com. So don't give me that baloney. Well, I don't want to get confused. I bought from both of you and you're on opposite sides. Or I could tell you right now, look, I don't care. I mean, if you buy from Chip instead of me, or you buy from me instead of Chip, neither one of us care. It's not like we're going to go out of business, but you're going to get the same picks.
Yes.
Okay. And again, our resume and our history speaks for itself. I'm going to also have about 5 college basketball picks up for tomorrow, Chipper,
Yeah.
including a 10-star top play, 60 and 41 over my last 101 with my college basketball 10-star top plays. That's just a shade under 60%. Not too bad. NBA last night, 2-1, 21 and 15 with my last 36 in the NBA. Not flashy, but 58%. Just keep moving, loading up the envelope with money. It's a grind, folks. It's not a sprint. Anyway, Chip, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, it's great working with you again, and I'm telling you that I can't wait for Sunday, and I wish we could be doing this every day.
Me too, buddy. Me too. In any event, for Ross Benjamin and Chip Chirimbes, we'll be back next Wednesday with a Winner's Circle edition. We'll be discussing the NBA at that time. Until then, enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. Stay safe and buy from one of us so we can make it an even more enjoyable Super Bowl weekend. Till the next time, good luck and God bless, folks.